Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, the fight against so-called ninja cops continues.
What we have are police scalawags.
Lawmakers cracking down on rogue policemen involved in recycling drugs and allegedly protecting Manila's drug queen.
Nag-attempt na mag-implement ng search warrant ng NBI against the premises of the drug queen. Unfortunately, masyadong maraming connection.
Also, the Bureau of Corrections under a new leadership.
So the corruption there, he wants to stop it.
And the President's ultimatum on nationwide road clearing operations.
Ito, pag-ikot namin bukas at bumalik yung illegal parking, illegal sidewalk vendor, I will recommend to the mayor yung show cause order for you to explain.
Interior and Local Government Undersecretary and Spokesperson Jonathan Malaya joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. The Interior Department now inspects roads and sidewalks nationwide to check if local government units have complied with President Rodrigo Duterte's order to clear roads from obstructions. The President gave LGU 60 days to bring back roads to the public or face stiff sanctions. Also, lawmakers probing the so-called ninja cops or policemen involved in recycling illegal drugs, and the government's move to arrest the drug queen. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Interior and Local Government Undersecretary and Spokesperson Jonathan Malaya. Asek, welcome back to the show. Good to have you.
Yes, thank you for having me, Pinky.
Okay, we have a number of topics to discuss. First, I want to really just ask you about the ninja cops because Senator Bongo had earlier revealed that President Rodrigo Duterte will reveal the identities of the so-called ninja cops when he comes back from Russia. Do you have any details on this? What can you share to us?
Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to share on this topic. The list has been submitted to the Senate, no? And we also have a copy of that list. It's with the Philippine National Police. So Secretary Anyo was one of those who said that the list should be made public. We supported that move, although there were some misgivings on the part of the Philippine National Police. Yeah. But we support that move precisely because of the need for transparency and to ensure that the Philippine National Police is walking the talk, not simply issuing a press release left and right on this issue.
So the DILG is saying, go ahead, and is actually encouraging to reveal this list. But the second question to that, the follow-up is, I mean, how sure are you that these cops are really involved in illegal drugs?
Well, that's really the issue now with the PNP. That's why there's some misgivings on the part, no. But so as to dispel any concern that we're trying to cover this up, that there's a whitewash here, that there are some big personalities involved, so the DILG would not want this list to be published. The Secretary gave a statement that if in the judgment of the Senate or in the judgment of the President, these names need to come out, then it should. Because remember, when the President first came to power, one of the first things he did was to release the names of those politicians who were in the narco list. So why should police officers be treated differently from them? So
same. Treatment should be the same. So you said that the DILG, to be clear, also received the list, the one coming from the Senate, which former CIDG head Benjamin Magalong and now Baguio Mayor gave during the executive session. This is the same list we're talking about.
That's right, yes.
Okay, so that same list that the Senate has, the DILG was likewise furnished.
That's right, yes.
How many was in the list?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I wasn't able to see that list. I just know that we were given a copy.
Okay, so if you knew you were given a copy, would you know what was the first order of the day for the DILG on these so-called ninja cops? I mean, sir, was there a directive na cross-check this? Because again, let me go back to Senator Bongo. He said that the President is going to ask the intelligence community to kind of like cross-check the people or the policemen involved in the recycled drugs.
Yes, that's what the PNP is doing now. They're verifying the list and monitoring those individuals that were identified as part of this the ninja cops.
Ninja cops.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes there's that confusion.
Yes.
Because narco list could also include those cops who, it also included some cops, sir,
Yes.
in the narco list. And then you have this list,
Yes.
this second list coming from Benjamin Magalong.
We have this list everywhere. List of those who are supporting the NPA, list of those.
Yeah, so I guess the question now is there, because the PNP is under the DILG, is there a problem now between the PNP and, for example, the PIDEA? Because the PIDEA started this Ninja Cops story. And then you have Mayor Benjamin Magalong, former CIDG head, saying, oh, these are the ones identified. And then it went as far as possible four-star general involved in the illegal trade.
I don't think there's a problem. I think may tampuhan lang ng konti, if I may characterize it that way, because we have no choice but to work together. No, we're just one law enforcement community. So there were just some misgivings on why it was made public, why wasn't it first raised to the PNP before all of this issue came out. But definitely it is not a problem that will stop us from performing our job, our respective mandates. There's just some issues. Tampo kumbaga.
So, yung tampo na yon umabot na, sir, sa pag-recall ng security ni PIDEA Chief Aaron Aquino?
No, officially, that's hindi naman dahil doon. No, the PNP explained it because this is a decision of the PNP. This is not a decision of the DILG. The PNP explained it in a manner that many of the police escorts of the PIDEA Director General came from the Region 3, Police Regional Office. And hence, because of the forthcoming ASEAN Games, which is going to be hosted by the Philippines, all of the manpower of Region 3 needed to be recalled for them to be able to secure the so many places that were assigned as or determined as venues for the SEA Games. So there was just a recall, temporary recall, and it will be returned. The police security escorts that were assigned to the other officials, not only Director General Aquino, will be returned immediately after the end of the SEA Games.
But the SEA Games starts on November 30, sir. Doesn't it?
Yes.
So
yes.
they took out the security detail of the PIDEA chief months before the SEA Games. What are they going to do now? What is their job now?
Yes. Pinky, as I said, this was a decision more of the PNP.
Right.
I myself knew about it just this morning. So just before the show, I had to call the Philippine National Police to get information. And
that's what they gave you?
That was they gave me. This is simply in relation to the ASEAN Games.
So here's the thing, sir. You have a PIDEA chief revealing that, there are ninja cops, recycled drugs, there is a drug queen. The DILG is saying, oh, we need to also identify and reveal the names of these ninja cops. And then the PNP at some point takes out the security detail of the PIDEA chief. Do you see something fishy here?
No, I don't.
Suspicious.
Maybe I think there's just a misunderstanding. Let me just get to the bottom of the issue because I'm on the spot here. As I said, I only knew about this issue just before we came.
Fair enough.
We came live.
But does it sound right?
Maybe it will not look good to the public. So I think if the reason for the recall of the police security escorts is for purposes for the ASEAN, and given that the ASEAN is a few weeks from now, maybe we could make an exemption for the Director General of the PIDEA.
Yeah.
And immediately after the show, make the necessary phone calls. Because it would not look good to the public that in the middle of all this, in the middle of all this controversy, there's this recall of the security escorts.
Because I want to bring that on air. According to Director General Aaron Aquino, he sent us a text and he said that matagal na pala to, September 25, which is a week ago, that he met with the president, and let me read this. First part of his statement. Personally, I am wondering why my security detail appears to be singled out, while all other security detail were allowed to report back to their VIP assignments after accounting by the PNP. So that's a part of that. And then it says here, sir, that last September 25, I had a meeting with President Duterte where he gave a verbal instruction to Senator Bongo to return my security detail. I guess here's a question, sir. Will the DILG interfere here and order or should, because I know you're saying that you just learned about it also, should the DILG interfere and say, ibalik niyo yung escort ng PIDEA chief?
I think what I can promise, Pinky, given that this is just a developing story, is that I will relay immediately to Secretary Anyo that request of DG Aquino after we have this show.
All right.
So that we can settle this issue once and for all.
And maybe we'll get an update from you a little later
Yeah,
on again.
maybe.
After the show. We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, the ILG Undersecretary and Spokesperson, Jonathan Malaya. I want to talk about provincial jails and what is called, of course, the NBP.
Yes.
There's some confusion, so let's lay the premise here, Yusek. So there are jails under the mandate or the supervision of the DILG, at meron pong under the supervision of the DOJ.
That's
Tama ho
right,
ba?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
please explain to us.
Well, we have a dysfunctional penal system, and I think it's part of our history, because I don't know how this came about, but there must have been a situation in the past wherein this developed. No, we have the National Bilibid prisons and all the other penal colonies under the Bureau of Corrections, and they are under the Department of Justice. And we have the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, which runs all district jails and city jails under the
District, city, and
DILG.
municipal, diba?
Yeah, but we don't have a lot of municipal jails. What we have are the detention centers of the PNP.
I see.
Okay. And then we have provincial jails, which are independently run by the provincial government. So how do you determine which inmate goes where? If the case is still under trial,
Yeah.
the judge may order detention either in the provincial jail or in the BJMP.
City jail.
Yes. So it's discretionary on the part of the judge where that inmate goes. And also if inmate has been convicted for a crime and the penalty is less than 3 years, it goes to either the city jail, district jail, or to the provincial jail. Now,
basta less than 3 years.
yes.
Okay.
Now, if it's more than that, then it goes to the Bureau of Corrections.
Yeah.
And they have, I think, 6 or 7 penal institutions, the biggest of which is the New Bilibid prisons, which is, I think, the last remaining mega prison in the world with 22,000 inmates. One of the largest in
Why
the
do
world.
you call it mega prison?
Well, the prison literature or
Really?
call it a mega prison, and it's no longer really recommended at this stage because studies have shown that a prison with more than 2,000 inmates become more difficult to run. So it is not really advisable for the Philippines to maintain a 22,000 inmate prison because it requires a lot of work,
Yeah.
and a certain kind of culture develops, which is not good for rehabilitation and reformation.
Hence the problems at the NBP, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So we separated that already. The DILG takes supervision of the BJMP, which basically are city jails, no?
That's right.
Pero may provincial jail that you had mentioned a while ago that is run
Yes.
by the provincial government.
government,
There
yes.
is a proposal. I think it's Senator Franklin Drilon who wants to integrate all provincial jails to the DILG, which
Yes.
is taking,
Yes.
which is monitoring the BJMP.
Yes.
Tama ho kaya? Is that a good idea?
That's a very good idea, and we fully support that because there is a professional culture in the BJMP of which we are very proud of. You know, it is not a perfect organization, but we're very proud of the professionalism, the competence. It is a national organization. It's very professionally run, and the problem with the provincial jails is the standards, the resources are different from one provincial jail to the other because every provincial government has a different situation in terms of resources and leadership. And there's also concerns about politicians running a jail. So there has been stories of inmates being asked to come out, which has been made into a movie. and I think this may be anecdotal, but it has happened in the past. So there has been many provincial governments who would like to turn over their provincial jails to the PGMP.
It does sound right because
Yes.
yung mga preso po should not be under the control of an elected official.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
becomes a little, there could be obviously some conflict there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Unfortunately, the local government code provides that provincial jails must be run. You know, so our provincial governors, and the latest is former senator, now governor of Sorsogon, Chief Escudero, what he did was that he asked the courts in Sorsogon not to send inmates to the provincial jail, and instead issue orders moving them to the BJMP. So Sorsogon now has a provincial jail without any inmates. Okay, what Chis did, Governor Chis did, instead is to transfer the resources for that jail to the district jails and city jails in his jurisdiction. So he's building a big jail facility in Sorsogon for the upkeep of the prison, the BJMP. So, and I think that is a welcome development.
Yeah.
Because that would allow a more professionally run provincial jail system.
So you are, well, saying that it's professionally run, the BJMP, you're proud of your head over there as well, but you have riots in the Manila City Jail that happened yesterday, I believe. I think there were 2 people dead. How can you say that it's run professionally? And let me add this, Yusek, also because they're so congested.
Yes.
I've been there,
Yes.
and you can hardly breathe inside there. They're like sardines. How can you possibly say that they're so professionally run when you see such a bad state?
When we say professionally run, I'm referring more of the lack of corruption, for example, the lack of scandals at the level of the Bucor. Because Bucor, I think it has become a systemic problem on the Bucor side. On the BGMP side, we also implement the GCTA, but we do not have issues similar to the ones in the Bucor. So we have this system in place, but we are also victims of the lack of resources of the government. So we have this congestion which has been exacerbated by the drug war, because a lot of people. But we're now doing we also have to connect this to the judicial system, because the more weak the judicial system is, the more slow, the more that people stay inside the jails.
Correct.
So
in the detention centers, yeah.
There is a proposal now which we submitted to the BGMP for their comments, because many of those inside the jail are actually inmates or PDLs that are eligible for bail, but they do not have the money to post. Wala silang pampiyansa.
Yeah.
So we're working on a system wherein it's called a supervised system, wherein if you are eligible for bail, we will let you out, but you have to come back every week or at a certain period of time for us to monitor you. Because if you had money to post bail, you'd be out anyway. Okay, so we're developing such a system because I think that system would alleviate the congestion in the
that's definitely
BGMP.
one way, but that could also strike fear doon sa biktima nung whoever could post bail.
Yeah, but remember, these people are...
Yeah, they could post bail if they had money.
Yes, yes.
Pero di ba medyo, ang karamihan po sa kanila ay medyo mahirap?
Yes, medyo mahirap, ngunit yung kanilang namang kaso, bailable naman.
So just the same,
Just
you're
the same.
saying.
Yeah, they're entitled to go out, but they just don't have the money to post bail.
Okay, so just before we go on a break, you're definitely approving of this provincial jails being incorporated in the BJMP, but definitely, sir, you need the budget for this.
Yes. And we can maybe get support from the provincial government.
Also.
Because they already have the money to run the provincial jails. So if the provincial government will do a cost-sharing with us, we will be in a position to run the district jails.
We'll be taking a short break, an update on the nationwide road clearing operations. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, DILG Undersecretary and Spokesperson Jonathan Malaya. Sir, Bucor Chief, galing po siya sa BJMP.
Yes.
Pagkatapos ngayon, is heading off, of course, the Bucor. I read somewhere that you said that he kind of really needs to take a number of people whom he really trusts into the Bucor, because the culture, you mentioned it a while ago, iba yung culture, yung sistema doon.
Actually, we were the ones who recommended a BGMP officer to the Department of Justice, and we're pleased that the DOJ took on our recommendation, because ang katotohanan naman talaga, Pinky, pag tagalabas ka at bigla kang pinasok sa penal culture, papaikutan ka lang. Kahit ako, for example, kahit yung mga pinakamagagaling dyan nag-aral sa Harvard or kung saan man, it is a different culture, it is a different system. And if you do not know what you're getting into, they will just run circles around you.
Because it's
And
been happening for decades.
And
no?
because lutang ka sa mga sistema sa loob. You do not know how it works. That because of the lack of resources and facilities, the Bureau of Corrections has developed their own coping mechanisms. The coping mechanisms being, ang nagpapatakbo talaga ng loob ay yung mga pangkat. It's really the gangs who are running the show. And if you are a new public official, no, with idealism and all of that, and then you will go inside there, kakainin ka ng sistema.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the past Bucor chiefs.
So you're confident that Gerald Bantag can do a good job?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
All right. Let's get an update on the road clearing operation. Sir, today is the
Yes.
last day.
Yes.
So who has succeeded and who has failed so far?
Well, that is really the question of media. We have been swamped with that question. But let me just restate what I've stated to the other members of the media. It's a large country. We are, the deadline ended yesterday. Today is the first day of the validation. So there are 4 criteria which we have to take a look at. The first, have they passed the necessary ordinances to implement a very good or excellent road obstruction campaign, road clearing campaign. The second one is, have they inventoried all of the obstructions? The third one is, have they conducted the road clearing operations?
Have they what? Sorry?
Conducted the road clearing operations. And the last one is, do they have displacement strategies for those individuals who were affected by the road clearing? So it starts today, our validation starts today. So give us at least a week or two.
I see.
To
So don't think
determine.
that just because the deadline was yesterday, by today you can file cases against airing officials.
Yes.
No, that's not going to happen. Not now, not in the next week.
No, I would think so, no. Because remember, the first thing we have to do is to find out, we have to be scientific about this. Because remember, these are local officials who were elected by the people. So it would be very unceremonious for us to suspend a public official without the necessary evidences. So we have to, sigurado aalma yung mga yan. And, LGUs, some LGUs are situated differently from other LGUs. For example, Cebu City, that's a big metropolis. So that's how many millions of people. So you have to take into consideration the situation there before you can come with a valid assessment.
So yung dami din ng tao will also have to be considered. For example, here in Metro Manila,
Yes.
Quezon City would possibly be very different than the case in San Juan.
Yes, San Juan or Pateros
Yeah, yung mas maliliit.
or mas maliliit, no? And Taguig, for example, is a difficult issue also because of the roads there are small, are compared to the other parts of the country.
Okay, but so far, in your assessment, who has done quite well? Would you be able to tell us?
Yes, and I think it's obvious to all. It's Marikina. They have done it before. They began there. I think the secret of Marikina is really also about values formation, because they didn't just tell people that we're gonna do a road clearing. They also explained to people why it needs to be done. So people sort of started to understand why they need to do this, and they were able to sustain this over the long run. And when we asked Marikina Mayor Chodoro, what's really the secret of Marikina, Marcy, and sabi niya, it's really about a culture of discipline. It's the culture of discipline. And I think that kind of culture is something we need to imbibe.
Yeah.
Disiplina muna. And the DILG really is going to come out with a campaign on that, advocacy campaign.
Who else, sir? So we have Marikina. Who were you surprised with? Who's doing quite well?
Naku, unfair.
Hindi naman. It's not unfair. It's not really. It's just really saying that, sige, mahirap po yung kanilang syudad, pero nagagawan talaga nila ng paraan.
Baka unfair, pero I'll just mention one more,
Okay.
ha? Kasi baka sabihin ng ibang, kasi I'm assigned to San Juan. So I saw the situation in San Juan.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, ibang klase rin siya si Mayor Zamora. Because wala talagang parking sa Green Hills, wala talagang parking sa Xavier. So, talagang pinagbawal niya. That's number one. Number two, he started identifying vacant lots to be transformed or converted into parking lots. So,
with incentives,
with
remember?
incentives,
Yeah.
yes. So, yung mga ganitong ideas ni Mayor, I think, is worth emulating. And tikita mo talaga maluwag. Lumuwag talaga.
So, again, it's clear, no? Even with the deadline yesterday, you need to validate yung work that has been done by the local government officials? Just a possible sanctions. Ano ho ba ang pinakamaliit na pwede nilang kaharapin at pinakamalala on
Well,
charges you can file?
Yes, well, the first thing we need to do is those who are red flagged, who are deemed non-compliant based on the assessment, will receive a show cause order. So if we're not satisfied with it, then we recommend to the president. So it could be reprimand, it could be suspension from office, no?
Temporary suspension.
Of course,
yan?
yes. A suspension doesn't mean dismissal. Suspension lang naman.
Okay.
Oo.
Yun na yung pinakamalala, sir, yung temporary
Yes,
suspension.
yes.
All right. Well, okay. So they will be doing the revalidating beginning today. As again, we said that the deadline, the 60-day deadline ended yesterday. Maraming salamat to Interior and Local Government Undersecretary and Spokesperson, Jonathan Malaya. Take care, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here in your
Thank
show.
you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.